Good evening. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host. Tonight, we're diving deep into a critical warning from the Kenya Ports Authority that could affect thousands of job seekers. The KPA has issued an urgent alert about a sophisticated new recruitment scam. But this isn't just a simple warning. It's a symptom of a much larger problem in Kenya's job market, a problem we'll unpack over the next 12 minutes with expert analysis, hard data, and a look at the global economic pressures that might be making Kenyans more vulnerable. Let's begin with the facts. On Sunday, February 15th, 2026, the Kenya Ports Authority released a public statement. The authority warned that fraudsters are circulating counterfeit job offer letters and demanding payments from unsuspecting applicants, all while pretending to conduct official KPA recruitment. The scam appears highly organized. According to sources within the KPA's Human Resources Department, the fake documents are convincing, often bearing forged signatures and using official-looking letterheads. The fraudsters typically request payments ranging from 5,000 shillings to 20,000 shillings for what they call processing fees, medical checks, or uniform deposits. The KPA has stated unequivocally that it never charges applicants at any stage of its recruitment process. To understand the scale of this threat, we need to look at the numbers. The KPA is one of Kenya's largest public sector employers. In its last major recruitment drive in the third quarter of 2025, it advertised for 120 new positions across various technical and administrative roles. The response was overwhelming. Official figures show they received over 52,000 applications for those 120 spots. That's a staggering ratio of approximately 433 applicants for every single job. This intense competition creates a fertile ground for desperation, which scammers are all too eager to exploit. Let's visualize that pressure. The sheer volume of applicants highlights the chronic issue of youth unemployment. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics' latest report from January 2026, the overall unemployment rate stands at 5.5%. However, this figure masks a more troubling reality for the youth. For Kenyans aged 18 to 34, the unemployment rate is a staggering 15%. That's nearly 3 times the national average. It represents approximately 2.5 million young people actively seeking work but unable to find it. This demographic is the primary target for these recruitment scams. They are educated, connected online, and desperately seeking a foothold in the formal economy. To discuss the mechanics of this specific KPA scam and the broader landscape, we're joined by 2 experts. First, via satellite from Mombasa, is Ms. Aisha Mwangi, a cybersecurity analyst specializing in digital fraud. Ms. Mwangi, welcome. Tell us, how are these scammers operating in 2026? What's new? Aisha Mwangi, good evening. Thank you for having me. The sophistication has increased dramatically. We're no longer talking about poorly written emails from a Gmail account. These fraudsters are creating cloned websites that mirror the official KPA career portal. They use sophisticated phishing kits to harvest personal data from real applicants on legitimate job sites. Then, they cross-reference this data. They might send a targeted SMS that says, "Congratulations, your application for the Assistant Port Operations Officer role, reference number KPA/HR/2026/045, has been shortlisted. Click here to confirm your details and pay a 7,500 shilling non-refundable commitment fee to secure your interview slot." The use of a real-looking reference number and a specific job title makes it incredibly convincing. Host and our second guest is Mr. David Omondi, an economist and labor market researcher based in Nairobi. Mr. Omondi, from your perspective, what economic factors are amplifying the success rate of these scams? David Omondi, good evening. The fundamental driver is the massive mismatch between supply and demand in the labor market. We produce over 500,000 university and college graduates every year. The formal economy, even in a good year, absorbs less than 20% of that number. This creates a pool of millions of qualified, frustrated individuals. When a prestigious institution like the KP advertises 120 jobs and gets 52,000 applications, you have 51,880 people who will be disappointed. A scammer only needs to trick a tiny fraction of that disappointed pool to make a fortune. If they convince just 1% of the unsuccessful applicants, that's over 500 people. At an average fee of 10,000 shillings, that's a 5 million shilling illicit enterprise from a single recruitment round. Host, 5 million shillings from one scam. That's a powerful incentive for criminals. David, let's talk about the global context. Kenya's economy doesn't operate in a vacuum. How do international trade policies and global economic shifts impact job scarcity here, and by extension, vulnerability to scams? David Omondi, an excellent question. Kenya's job market is acutely sensitive to two major external agreements: the U.S. African Growth and Opportunity Act, a GOA, and various trade partnerships with China. A GOA provides duty-free access to the U.S. market for thousands of products. Its recent extension by the Trump administration has been a relief, supporting an estimated 150,000 jobs in our textile and manufacturing sectors. However, this is a precarious lifeline, subject to political winds in Washington. On the other side, China's recent agreement on zero tariffs for certain Kenyan agricultural products, like avocados, is promising but is in its early stages. The point is, our job creation is often tied to these external deals. When they are uncertain, investment stalls and formal job growth slows, pushing more people into the informal sector or into the desperate search for the few secure public sector jobs, like those at KPA host. So the scam is a local crime, but it's fueled by global economic pressures. Ms. Mwangi, from a law enforcement perspective, how difficult is it to track and stop these scammers? Aisha Mwangi, extremely difficult. They often use virtual private networks, VPNs, to mask their location. Payments are frequently requested via mobile money to numbers registered with fake IDs, or even worse, to cryptocurrency wallets which are nearly impossible to trace in real time. The syndicates are often transnational. We've seen links to operations based in West Africa and Southeast Asia. Local authorities like the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Cybercrime Unit are competent, but they are under-resourced and overwhelmed by the volume. Prevention through public awareness, like this KPA warning, is currently the most effective tool. Host, let's look at a comparative analysis. How does this KPA scam compare to other major recruitment frauds we've seen in recent years? The data shows a worrying trend of increasing sophistication and financial impact. Now, a critical question for our viewers: what should you do if you suspect you've been targeted? The KPA has provided clear guidelines. First, they will never ask for payment. Second, all genuine communication will come from official email domains like at kpa.co.key or at portsauthority.go.key. Third, all shortlisted candidates are published on their official website and in at least one national newspaper. If you receive any suspicious communication, do not engage. Do not click any links. Report it immediately to the KPA's official contacts and to the DCI's cybercrime hotline, which is 0800-722-203. Let's also consider the human cost. Beyond the lost money, which for many families represents months of savings, there is a profound psychological impact. Imagine finally receiving that job offer after years of searching, only to discover it was a cruel lie. It breeds distrust in institutions and deepens economic despair. David Omondi, is there a policy solution? What can the government do to shrink the pool of desperation that these scammers fish in? David Omondi, it requires a multi-pronged approach. First, we must be honest about the data. The 5.5% unemployment figure is misleading. You need a clearer metric, like a youth underutilization rate that includes those in unstable informal work or who have given up searching. Second, we must aggressively support the sectors that can create mass employment: agriculture, agro-processing, and the digital economy. The government's investment in Kanza Technopolis is a step, but it needs to be matched by similar investments in rural digital hubs. Third, we need to reform the recruitment processes of all major state corporations. Make them 100% digital, transparent, and trackable from application to final selection. This would eliminate the opacity that scammers exploit. Host, transparency as a shield against fraud. Ms. Mwangi, any final advice for job seekers navigating this dangerous digital landscape? Aisha Mwangi, be paranoid in a healthy way. Verify, verify, verify. If you get an offer, independently look up the official contact details of the company. Never use the contact information in the suspicious message, and call to confirm. Use the Google Lens feature on your phone to reverse image search any logos or signatures on offer letters. Often, scammers steal them from the internet. And please educate your family, especially older relatives who might be less digitally savvy but just as eager to see you succeed. Host, thank you both, Ms. Aisha Mwangi and Mr. David Omondi, for that crucial insight. As we conclude, let's recap the key warning. The Kenya Ports Authority is not currently conducting mass recruitment. Any offer letter you receive unsolicited is almost certainly a scam. The authority's managing director, Captain William Ruto, reiterated this point in today's follow-up press briefing, stating, "Our recruitment is a solemn process of national importance. We will not allow it to be tarnished by criminals preying on the hopes of our youth. The fight against these scams is a fight for the integrity of our economy and the dignity of every job seeker. It requires vigilance from citizens, transparency from institutions, and relentless pursuit from our law enforcement agencies." The 52,000 applicants for 120 KPA jobs are not just statistics, they are the energy and ambition of a nation. Protecting them from exploitation is a national imperative. For Kenya News Update today, I'm your host. Stay safe, stay informed, and always verify. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today.